Time now for another edition of Bases and Balls with our good friend Jim Rosenhaus here on 93.5, 1590 WAKR. Long road trip. And Rosie, you and I talked about it last week, but really a nice way to end it with that 3-game sweep of the White Sox. And now we have 16 games to go in this grueling regular season, my friend.
Yeah, it's winding down, Ray, and some good things coming for the Guardians because they took care of business on what could have been a really challenging road trip, and they come home 6-3, which is tremendous when you consider that they opened in Kansas City, a team that had their number for a little bit, and then of course the Dodgers are always difficult, especially at Dodger Stadium. But it's a series when you look at it against the White Sox where you say they should sweep them, but it's not exactly the easiest sometimes. And they did take care of business and ended up with a sweep. And that's huge because now it sets up a homestand where they can clinch a postseason berth, but also they could clinch the American League Central while they're home here.
Couple of things in that White Sox series I thought maybe you can comment on. One, Lane Thomas seems to be like he's settling in with this baseball team, and he came up with some good shots, some hustle plays as well, seeing him a little bit more in center field. And Joey Cantillo on the mound, he was really good the other day. So talk about these two.
Well, Thomas, he's been working at it, and obviously a very slow start after he was acquired from Washington. But now we're seeing the player that I think the Guardians thought they traded for, with some power and some speed. So that's really good. And they need that extra bat right now. There's certain hitters who aren't quite going the way they want to be, and if you can get someone else going well at that particular time, that's helpful. And he's been really helpful because he can play a couple of different outfield positions and has a strong arm, good speed. There's a lot to like there, and I think we're seeing a lot of that. And Joey Cantillo, obviously they needed a strong start on Monday night, and then he went above and beyond with a perfect game through 6. And he just, every time he's come up, that was the 5th different time he's come up from Columbus. And he just seems to be more and more comfortable each time. And his stuff seems to be better every time. So he's a kid who's had some injuries, so he doesn't necessarily have as many innings as some other young pitchers have. And I think we're seeing him benefit now from being able to take the ball every 5th day, whether it's here or in the minor leagues. And we saw a great start on Monday.
Jim Rosenhaus with us, Bases and Balls, WAKR. Rosie, you mentioned the stretch drive and some of these important games, including those 3 games, final weekend of the season against the Houston Astros. A lot of people still do not understand the playoff format and how it would work. And I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse, of course, but those top 2 teams, that's why that last series could be huge when you talk about Cleveland and Houston. Do the playoffs for us and how it shakes out.
Well, the Guardians are trying to win the AL Central, and you have your 3 division winners, but only 2 of those division winners get a bye directly into the division series. That 3rd one has to play the wild card round. And we saw it a couple of years ago. In Cleveland's case, they had to play Tampa Bay in that wild card round. And it turned out to be a thrilling 2-game series, but that's a toss-up sometimes. And I think if you can avoid that, you'd like to, because it also lets you rest and set up your pitching for the division series and just give some guys a break if they want it. So that's what they're shooting for. And right now they're well ahead of Houston. Houston's going through a tough patch. They've lost 6 out of 8. So right now it would be the Yankees and the Guardians who have those first 2 spots in the first round buys and avoid the wild card round.
Big games coming up. As we mentioned, we have the Rays this weekend. We'll look forward to the call coming up tonight. And then we've got Minnesota for 4 at St. Louis. Houston still on the schedule. So some big games on the horizon for us to close out this season.
Yeah, no question. Obviously, they want to do well against Tampa Bay here the next 4. And then they could really put a hurt on Minnesota's playoff hopes. The Twins, they had a wild card locked up, but they have not played well of late. And now there's some teams starting to track them down, including Detroit, kind of out of nowhere. So there's still a lot to play for sure, not only for the Guardians, but the teams that they're playing against.
All right, Rosie, thanks for making time, my friend. Always appreciate it. We'll look for the calls all weekend long as we battle the Rays, and we'll do this again next week. Thanks for making time for us.
You got it, Ray.